marketing to the affluent, how to gain trust, handling tough objections, closing techniques, how to gain referrals. These are just some of the skills you will develop with the Professional Sales Excellence Series for financial advisors.
Welcome to this month's edition of Professional Sales Excellence for Financial Advisors. This month we'll discuss how you can dramatically increase your income using referrals to gain more business. My definition of a sales pro is someone who has the ability to make cold calls but never has to do it. Real pros in this business are so good at getting referrals, they never need to put themselves through the high stress and rejection of cold calls. Our research has shown that referred leads are 35% more likely to buy from you and will earn 25% higher commissions than cold calls. In a study done by Cornell University, car buyers were contacted by their salespeople and asked for referrals. The referred leads were offered discounts for buying from any dealership the manufacturer had a relationship with. Those referrals were 35% less likely to negotiate a lower price than walk-up traffic. Referrals do make a difference. But why don't you ask for referrals in the first place? On the one hand, you think clients should offer referrals when you do a great job. On the other hand, they don't think you need referrals because you never ask for them. This is a catch-22. If you don't ask, you won't get them. The real issue isn't that you didn't perform well enough. The real reason you get referrals is because of your relationship with them. You ever been surprised those you have the best relationship with also have the highest regard for your ability? Yes, the better the relationship, the more value they have, and the more willing they are to give you referrals. This module will not only show you how to gain referrals, but also how to use them to produce more business than ever before. The best way to increase your sales production and decrease prospecting time is to tap into the networks that already exist between your current clients and the prospects they lead you to. Just in case you have call reluctance, you're also going to learn some very advanced techniques on how to gain referrals without actually asking. An airline ticket agent asked me recently what I did for a living. I told her that I'm a best-selling author and speak at conventions around the world. But mostly I think of myself as a salesperson. She said, "Oh, I would hate to sell." I said, "But you're selling all day long. I just heard you a minute ago persuade an irate passenger that he was better off taking a later flight because of a mechanical problem." She said, "Yeah, but I would hate to sell something." She didn't understand the concept, but she really had a good point. If you could take the discomfort out of selling, wouldn't your business be more fun? And wouldn't it be more fun selling to those who want to buy? Join me now as I speak to a group of sales pros on selling with referrals.
By the way, how many of you make cold calls? Cold calls, just any cold calls, anytime, anywhere. You do make cold calls from time to time. There you go, okay. Well, let me tell you the statistics on that. 90% of the cold calls you make will reject you, and that's if you're lucky. 10% of the people that you cold call will even answer the telephone and talk to you and then hang up on you. 70%, by the way, of the people you refer to will talk to you out of respect for the person who referred you to them, and they're also the people who are ready for this. 35% more likely to buy, and 25% more likely to give you more money per deal than you've ever had before. Oh, by the way, before I say this, the shocker for me is I've been speaking for a lot of years, gang, around the world, and I check back with people I speak to. 85% of you in this room today will never use referrals, even though you heard about doing it. Which is interesting because only 15% of your clients will actually volunteer referrals to you, and that's shocking to me. And the problem is, you think in your mind, if they don't give me referrals, heck, they must not like me enough to volunteer them. And they're thinking, if they don't want to ask me for the referrals, that means they don't need them because they're doing so well, they're just not going to ask in the first place. That's shocking to me. The other thing that's shocking is, if you know that 50% of the people you ask will give you 2 or more, and 38% will book an appointment on the spot, why the heck would you not ask referrals and start calling them and doubling your business immediately? Here's that 4-step process. Ready? Number 1, always let the customer know why the referral is necessary. Use exactly these words. I love working with you. Who do you know who could benefit from the kind of relationship we've had so far? Did you hear what I didn't say? I didn't say who needs a mortgage broker, who needs a realtor, who needs health insurance. You know why? Because you're not going to get a response from that kind of thing. Number 2, how many referrals would you ask for? The person's right there. They want to give them to you. How many would you ask for? What do you think the number is? Come on. 2 is a good number. Who said 5? 5's a better number. See where this is going? Number 3, find out something about their personal life. Do they play golf? Do they play tennis? How many kids do they have? Number 4, according to Forrester research, your clients want 3 things from you. Number 1, they want to know what they bought. What the heck did I put money in? Number 2, they want you to monitor what they bought, so if anything changes, they can buy something else or they can get what they have. Number 3 is the most important. They want frequency of contact. You know what that means? That means a phone call or face-to-face every 3 months. I'm going to tell you something. I do a lot of work in the mortgage business, and we've discovered from the National Association of Mortgage Bankers that only 17% of the loans that were done this year were done with the previous lender. You know what that means? They went to somebody else because the last lender made them a transaction. There was no relationship. There was no follow-up. They went to somebody else to get the new loan. Here are 3 things I want you to start doing. Write this down. It's called catch up, update, referral. This is the 3-month phone call. Catch up on the family, update on new things about the economy, new things about your product, new things about their business. For example, the 12 most persuasive words. Remember I told you to give value to these people? Number 3, referrals. I love working with you. Who do you know who could benefit from the kind of relationship we've had so far? And I got to tell you something. This one I love the most. This is a way to get referrals without people actually buying from you. Write this down. I love working with you. I just love it. You're my kind of client. What would I have to do over the next few weeks to make you feel comfortable enough to introduce me to your friends? What would I have to do? If they tell you a reason, great, you're fine. If they don't tell you and they just say, I'll just give you all the referrals you want to get, that's good too. Either way, you got them. Make sense?
Tell your clients why you need referrals. Learn something about the referred lead's personal life. Expect to get 250 referrals from each client and use the comfort response to gain referrals, even from those who have yet to buy. As you can see, a lot of people don't even ask for referrals, let alone make good use of them. It's amazing to me that some people actually never sell with referrals. They're working way too hard for very little money compared to what they could be making. It's also important to get the referral before the paperwork is done. Actually, you only need to remind the prospect that you'll be asking for the referrals later. A way to say this is, don't let me forget to ask you later for referrals to your friends. This prevents them from bolting away after they sign the paperwork. Also, I can't stress enough how important it is to find out something about the referred lead's personal life. While getting a referral is good, finding out something about them is even better. I was contacted a while ago by a financial advisor. He was referred to me by a friend I play golf with. When the salesman called me asking for an appointment, I told him I was very happy with my current advisor, but thanks for the phone call. He then mentioned my golf game and asked if my slice was as bad as my golf buddy said. I laughed and asked if he knew how to cure it. He told me he couldn't help my swing, but he would like to get together to talk about how he might be able to help get a higher return on my portfolio. He ended up closing me because he did his homework. The more you know about the referred lead, the more receptive they'll be to you. Talk to the person next to you and go through each of the steps on getting referrals as if you were talking to a real client. You may want to refer to the study guide to this program if you need to review the steps. If you are the one being asked for names, mention that you don't know anybody and see how your partner responds. One of the best ways to gain referrals is not to ask. Listening for the names of friends and relatives is an elegant way to get them. I spoke at a conference recently in West Virginia. The meeting planner took me out to a dinner and spent almost the whole time talking about her friends in the meetings industry. I made a mental note of all the names. After my presentation the next day, she congratulated me. She was really happy with the program, and she said she would give me the name of a contact at another association. I asked if she would mind me using her name as a referral source to some of the people she mentioned the night before. She laughed and said, "You mean you actually listened to me last night?" I said, "Of course I did." She said, "Well, in that case, I'll give you a few more." So one name turned into 10, and $1,000 turned into tens of thousands. Often the best way to ask referrals is not to ask. I heard a salesman recently explain that he makes money in 2 ways. First, by what the client pays him in commissions, and secondly, the names they give him after the sale. He ends almost every client meeting by saying, "I'm expanding my business. Who do you know who?" I think this is a good way to get referrals, but not the best. The most effective way is just remembering to ask. By far, the biggest reason some of my coaching clients fail at getting referrals is they just plain forget to ask. I did a project for State Farm Insurance 20 years ago. They wanted their agents to ask about life insurance. But the agents primarily sold residential and commercial insurance and felt intimidated about selling life. We put a giant paper clip holding a $20 bill in their desk with a note saying, "Take this $20 if I don't ask you about your life insurance." I thought this is such a great idea that many of my coaching clients now have them on their desk as a reminder to ask about referrals. The best way to stage a referral request is to confirm the value your client has received before you ask. For example, itemize what you've accomplished for them and ask if they are happy with what you've done. Then ask for the referral. One of my clients said, "So far, we have done about 8% of your portfolio when the underlying indexes have lost 3%. We've gained 11% so far this year on your investments. We've also saved you $6,000 in federal and state income taxes. How do you feel about what we've done so far?" Great. I love working with clients like you. Who do you know who could benefit from the kind of relationship we've had so far? Have you ever heard someone declare they don't know anyone? Or they offer to call the prospect first, but won't give you the contact to follow up with? What do you do in this kind of situation? Well, first, they aren't saying they just arrived on the planet last week. They're really saying, "No one in the last few days has said they needed someone like you." Your response always needs to be, "No problem. I'm not just looking for someone who needs financial planning help. The average portfolio needs to be rebalanced every 6 months, and the average advisor talks to their clients every 2 years. I just want to have a relationship intact when they need me. Who do you know?" What if they say they'll call the referral lead first? Be careful here that 2 bad things will happen if you fall for this. First, 90% of the time, they will never make the call. And the other 10% of the time, they will be the worst sales rep in the world. My financial advisor wants to call you. You don't want to talk to him, do you? Well, great, I'll tell him that. Instead, your response needs to be instant gratitude. "Thank you so much. Here are a few business cards. Would you mind if I spoke to him after you do?" "Great. What's his phone number?" If they still say no, just let it go. You'll make the same request in 3 months. It isn't worth being too pushy and irritating the client. In 1981, when I was starting my business, I met a lady who was able to get me to Century 21 Real Estate Company. I was lucky because I wasn't all that good as a speaker in the beginning. It took a lot of work to keep a group of realtors' attention for more than a few minutes, let alone a few hours. After my program, I asked for referrals. I was kind of sheepish since I know I did an okay, but not a great job. The manager didn't know anyone, but she would get back to me. Yeah, right. She never did. A few years later, I told the story to another speaker who went green with envy. He said, "You mean to tell me you had 20 regions with over 10,000 manager brokers at your fingertips, and you didn't take advantage of it?" If I'd only been a little more assertive, I could have gained some great referrals. The lesson here is not to cave into your own fear of rejection. You need to go the extra step. My good friend Bill Cates calls this wimp junction. You know you need to get referrals, but just can't remember to ask. This will kill your ability to grow your business every single time. There's also another lesson here. Are you familiar with the Pareto Rule? 80% of your clients are giving you 20% of your business, and 20% of your clients supply 80% of your income. The objective here is to ask only the top 20% of your clients for referrals. You see, we all make between 10 and 20% of our best friend's income. If you pick out the clients you want to duplicate, there is a high likelihood you will be referred to more people just like them. Another great idea is to discover what affiliations your clients have. Almost all of your clients belong to associations. All you have to do is ask for a membership list. When you make the call to the association members, mention your client. The beauty is, even if they don't know your client, they will give you a few more minutes on the telephone. But one of the best ways to sell to an association list is to get an endorsement letter from the person who manages the group. This is usually the executive director. They are paid to run the association, but are usually short of funds to do it. If you offer them a part of the revenues from your sales, and if they like the product or your service, you'll gain a lot more business. Now, there are several huge insurance companies that make billions every year by affiliating with associations. They get endorsements from the executive officer and then start calling. In fact, you probably bought some kind of insurance from one of these companies before. One of my coaching clients was able to get an endorsement letter from an SBC communications executive. She does seminars for SBC managers and has never been in need of prospects to call. I built my speaking business this way. I was able to get a directory of the managers of a target market I wanted to hit and called everybody on the list. I used the name of one manager who used my services as a referral source, and the rest is history. The biggest reason why salespeople fail is not because of product knowledge. It's just plain not enough activity. The people who fail don't see enough prospects. Easy, give me a salesperson anytime who is willing to prospect every day than one who has great product knowledge but also has call reluctance. But if you get the right referrals, you will never get rejected. People may not buy from you, but they will sit down and talk. The most time-consuming part of any producer's day is prospecting for new business. If you gain referrals, you can spend more time making money and less time getting rejected. Joe Girard, who calls himself the best salesperson in the world, has an interesting selling technique. Customers seem to sell for him. He calls it bird dogging. He's a car salesperson with Morales Chevrolet in Detroit. He offers a free gift to anyone who gives him a referral that culminates in a sale. The gift is usually fairly cheap, but means a heck of a lot to the customer. It's like free oil service or a discount on a maintenance. Joe also sends birthday cards to all of his customers, along with a phone call. He thinks most people send Christmas cards, but few remember birthdays. Joe makes the call and usually ends up getting a few more referrals for his time. Good technique. You should try it. Keeping in contact with your current customers is always a good idea and a great way to get new ones. I was on my way through Canada a couple of years ago and had a layover in Winnipeg. I sat there for 3 hours waiting for a flight before I remembered the client who lived there. I called him to say hi. You see, he wasn't a great friend or anything. He just hired me for a speech. But I made the call and he was really impressed. We talked for a few minutes and he gave me about 15 referred leads. One of the best ways to get lots of referrals is to keep in close contact with your clients. You also need to let them know that you want referrals. Don't only call to get names, but if you keep in close contact and continually mention that you're expanding your business, you will get more referrals than you can handle.
Let's talk about for a second when people don't want to give you referrals. The two most common objections you'll ever get, number one, is I don't know anybody. And number two, let me call them first. Have you ever heard this before? Have you done that before? Well, let me tell you. Here's what happens. When people say, I don't know anybody, it doesn't mean they just arrived on the planet last week. You know, they just come from Mars. Basically say, I don't know anybody that wants to buy this from you. That's all they're saying to you, because I got to tell you, I've been in this business for 25 years. Not one person's walked up to me before and said, hey, listen, I'm looking for someone who does what you do, by the way. Do you know anybody that does that? I've never had anybody say that ever, because there are a lot of people that do what you do prospect me already. All they're saying is, they want you to ask them for relationships, not for people who need your services. Does that make sense? Ask for relationships. Number two, people will say, well, listen, let me call them first. And if they want to talk to you, they'll just call you back. Two things are going to happen. 90% will say, well, you know, I got this person on the telephone. They want me to give you their name. You don't want to talk to them, do you? The other 10% will never make the phone call in the first place. So guess what you should do? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Here's a couple of business cards. By the way, would you mind if I followed up with them later on? Yeah, no problem. Well, what's their phone number? All of a sudden, you've got nobody's going to say no to you ever again. Okay, now you know how to get referrals. Here's what to say to people once you have the referral. Introduce yourself and your company. Ready for this? I'll give you the exact words. Hi, this is Kerry Johnson from Regency. You and I have a mutual friend, Wade. You know Wade, don't you? We just did it. Introduce yourself and your company. Number two, Get rapport with that person by using the personal touch you found out about them. Hey, I just heard from Wade that you played professional tennis a couple of years ago. That must have been really fun. How many years did you play? Now, gang, I got to tell you, I was ranked 95 in the world in 1976, which is pretty interesting since after they fixed the ATP computer ranking system, I fell to 10,033. If you say to me, hey, listen, I heard you were 95 in the world. In tennis, that's pretty impressive. There's no chance I'm going to hang up the phone on you. No chance. I'm going to have a cup of coffee. How did you know this stuff? Who told you that? That's pretty impressive. Yeah, I was pretty good back in those days. Yeah. Number 3. This is important, gang, also. It's called the benefit takeaway. Nobody wants to do business with you because of your job. Affluent people, think of people that do, I'm sorry, but I'll just say, it's hard to say this, but I'm just going to say it. There are other people that do what you do. So you got to be special. It's called the benefit takeaway. Hey, listen, I was just referred to you by Wade, and I actually saved him $6,000 when he did his last property. Here's the takeaway. I'm not sure I could do the same for you, but I would love to chat with you to see if I could be a benefit. When people make mistakes, it's always that they don't specifically use a benefit that people can latch onto. They just say, here's what I do, let's go work together, and you're not distinguishing yourself from other people that do what you do. Here comes number 4. I like this one a lot. Close for an appointment. And number 5 is even more important. Make sure you qualify. It's called qualify. Hey, just out of curiosity, when you're looking for a property, are you looking for something less or more than $500,000? Are you looking, when you talk about a down payment, do you have more or less than $10,000? Well, I know I went to declare bankruptcy last week, and all of my money's tied up in my Volkswagen. Well, would you go see that person? I don't think so. But have you done this before, though? Have you talked to people who just could fog up a mirror? You've got to qualify these people. Don't see them. I'd rather spend time on the telephone than face-to-face, wouldn't you?
As you can see, this referred lead script is meant only as a model. You can change it to suit your marketplace, but the framework will always be the same. Introduce yourself first, then reference your referral source client, generate rapport using the personal touch and the benefit takeaway, qualify, and then close for an appointment. The step you will forget most often is the personal touch. If you mention something about them that few others know, you'll buy yourself an extra 10 minutes on the phone. That 10 minutes will increase your appointment close rate. The second thing you need to work on is the benefit takeaway. Most of my coaching clients are rarely specific enough on this. You need to tell the referred lead how you've helped your clients. Now, I know you don't want to violate their trust, but you have to give the referred lead a compelling reason to talk to you. If you just say, I helped them invest, you won't gain much attention. But if you state that you saved them $6,000 in taxes and returned 12% on their portfolio, they will be on you like a cheap suit. Please turn to exercise 2 and grab the person next to you. Role play this referred lead model. Refer to the study guide in this program. Don't downplay the personal touch during the rapport generation stage. It is the most important step you'll do. A few years ago, one of my coaching clients was doing seminars to gain his own clients. The only problem was the cost of seminar mailings was about $20,000 to get 100 attendees. The closing ratio of those attendees was also fairly low. It became a crisis when the attendance dropped below 20 for the same amount of advertising cost. We came up with an amazing idea. It's called the Circle of Friends concept. A lot like a client appreciation function, you invite about 20 to 30 clients to a dinner to hear a topic you know they will like. You ask them to write down 3 guests they would like to invite on a sheet of paper. They also sign an invitation, which you mail 3 days later. You follow the mailing up with a phone call. The point isn't whether they come to the seminar. The real benefit is that you gain referrals without actually asking for them. When Tom did his first meeting, 25 clients came with 70 guests. He booked 58 appointments and sold 51 annuities with an average commission of $15,000 each. You do the math. The best part was that one of Tom's existing clients told him about some money he inherited. Tom made an extra $100,000 in commissions, which he called the bump. My recommendation is that you ask for a referral first, but then as you become more sophisticated, start doing Circle of Friends meetings. The study guide on Disc 1 has examples of the request form and invitations these super producers use. The truth is, your customers want you to become very successful. They get excited when you make a sale from a referral they gave you. This is why it's so important to keep your clients involved in the sales cycle. Copy letters to them. The sad reality is most producers who get referrals don't let the client know if the lead paid off or not. After Murray Nielsen heard me speaking in Vancouver, British Columbia a couple of years ago, he gave me 5 leads to follow up on. Not only did I copy letters to Murray, but I also sent him a thank you note, along with a watch I bought him on a recent trip to Hong Kong. He was so excited that I sold his referrals, he promptly sent me 10 more. To this day, Murray still calls me with people I should contact. Your clients once trusted you enough to buy. They still possess that same trust in you today. They want you to become wealthy. Why not let them? From now on, look at your clients not as a one-shot sale, but as a lifelong source of referrals. If you knew each of your clients would eventually help you sell 10 times the amount they bought, would you keep in better contact with them? Call your customers, clients, at least once every 3 months from now on. You don't have to try to sell them something. Just call to say hello. In the DVD video program entitled Building a Business Plan, I laid out a script on how to keep in contact every 3 months with your clients. If you have any questions about what to say in these calls, refer to that program. I hope you'll enjoy using the techniques we've talked about on selling with referrals. As you know, there are assignments that you're asked to complete on your study guide sheets. To maximize the value of this program, don't skip over doing this homework. Most people learn best by doing rather than just hearing. I want to make sure that what you hear is translated quickly into making you more money. Thanks for listening. I look forward to working with you again in the next issue of Professional Sales Excellence for Financial Advisors.